so nervous. Welcome back, Brandon Vera from the UFC into the studio. Good to have you back, bro. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about your arm.
Okay.
Because your last fight, you fought Elliot Marshall, which was a pretty good fight. You won the first 2 rounds. Third round happened. Elliot Marshall decided, you know what? I decided I'm gonna fight. Came out, rocked you a little bit. I've never seen you rock before.
Ever. And Elliot Marshall was the one to rock me.
Who is not the best stand-up fighter. And I mean, you fought monsters. You fought Randy freaking Couture before. Yeah. None of these guys have ever rocked you. You actually got rocked a little bit, but you hang in there. The fight goes to the ground. He's a jiu-jitsu specialist. He gets you in an armbar, and it looked pretty nasty. But Brandon Vera does not tap.
I did not tap.
Now,
I sure did not.
Now, when the broadcast was happening, you know, when we were watching the fight, I watched it on Facebook Live. They said that you broke your arm, and you kind of thought you broke your arm, but it turns out it's not broken, right?
It's not broken. No, the bones. I didn't actually say I broke my arm. I say I effed my arm.
Oh, okay.
But with my mouthpiece in, and I'm looking at Joe,
yeah.
I could hear him talking about my arm. I looked over and I mouthed to him, I effed my arm up.
Yeah.
And so it might look like I said.
Oh, okay.
No, I for sure knew I messed it up. Though,
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, is it better to have it broken, or is this ligament thing?
You know, I was thinking it would be better to have the ligaments torn than the bones.
Right.
But the doctor said, you know, it might have been better if you broke the bones on this one.
Yeah. Either way, it's not good.
Either way. But you know, it's part of the game. I got caught in an armbar. It was my fault. The whole third round was my fault.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, Elliot decided he wanted to punch me.
Yeah.
Like,
which you probably weren't expecting.
No, not at all. I was like, jeez, man, come on. He was running the whole fight, and it was hard to hit him. It was my fault too because I was trying something new. You know that knee stomp.
Yeah.
I was doing that a lot with a lot more intent, and it kept him way outside. So I just wasn't worried about him. The third round came out and punched me right in my face so hard. Wow, I remember I hit the deck. I was like, oh no.
Now,
I woke up in the armbar like the last 40 seconds of the fight. I was like, whoa,
man. That's crazy, man.
He hit me hard,
yeah, there was no doubt. I mean, you were definitely in a little bit of trouble there. But when you get caught in an armbar, I mean, is there anything going through your head where you're like, if I tap right now, not only am I going to lose the fight, but I may be out of the UFC.
For sure. You
so
know, it happened.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. The first thought that came out in my head was my wife, all my training partners this camp, and then Master Lloyd was at the very end. Master Lloyd Irvin and Coach Eric Del Fiero. And it happened real fast because the armbar didn't take that long. I thought about the misses, I thought about my training partners, and I thought about my 2 coaches. And then I was like, I'm not tapping today. So.
And so it's like, arm, who cares? Yeah. I don't care if you break it off. I'm not going to tap.
You're going to have to do what you want to do with it.
And what was amazing is that, you know, you jack up your arm. It's clearly jacked up. And you go, I'm still in this fight. You reverse it. You get on top of him. And you start using that arm to punch. How the hell did you do that?
I was mad because he ripped it.
And I'm guessing you're not feeling anything at that point,
no,
right?
I felt it when it gave out. The bones locked out, and I turned my thumb to the side, and he kept pulling on it, and I felt the ligaments rip.
Was it a pop or?
No, it wasn't a pop. It was more like a paper tearing. Like I could hear it inside my head, and I could feel it.
Oh, that's brutal.
It went flat on his belly, and when it went flat, I was like, well, you can't pull it anymore. I started wiggling my arm out, and then right when I got it out, that's when I was like, you son of a... Just wanted to give it to him.
Now, when you're laying there and you're thinking about, okay, you cannot tap, is that like a moment of clarity, like peace and calm in the hurricane that is the fight, or is there panic in your head?
You know what? No panic at all. Just like you said, moment of clarity. I was like, well, not tapping.
God, that's amazing.
This is where we're at. I remember thinking, this is where we're at. And I could hear Master Lloyd telling me, like he didn't say it, but I you know, when I ran through this, I could hear one of my coaches saying, you got to deal with what you got, shorty. And then I could hear my other coach, I could hear my other coach in my head, Vera, you better not tap to that. Like, I could hear him in my head. They weren't saying anything, but I could hear him.
That's good training.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you recall those positions in your training, right?
Yeah.
When they say that stuff to you.
Exactly.
And you have to harken back to that.
And you know, I trained with all these guys from Team Lloyd Irvin, like so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions. And I know, I was like, man, if I get tapped by Elliot Marshall to an armbar, if I tap to this, yo, I will never ever hear the end of this. So, I get to train with Andre Galvao out here, and just so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions. They haven't been caught in an armbar in a long time. Granted, none of us ever punched me in the face before they put their armbar in. I haven't, man. I just remember thinking these guys will never ever forgive me, man, if I tap to armbar.
Wow. Well, you won. Yeah. Bottom line is you got the W. Now what's the fix process? What do you got to go through?
The doctor told me anywhere between 3 to 4 months.
And it's surgery, right?
Surgery, yeah. Surgery's on. It got moved to Friday.
Okay.
There was one doctor who wasn't going to be available to help assist on Wednesday, so the lead doctor said they wanted to do it on Friday.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to wait, I'll wait.
Yeah. So it's a rehab of 3 or 4 months?
3 or 4 months, but I started training last night. I'll be training.
Training what? Your pinky toes?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Just we wrap the arm up and put it in a sling or wrap it against my body and just do everything else I can.
Are you hearing that? I mean, that's what these MMA fighters do. The guy has one arm and he's like, let's go get a workout in real quick. That's crazy.
Do you guys think I could beat Brandon in arm wrestling with his bad
arm? No, not even with the bad arm.
With the bad arm? I've been
Look at those biceps.
See what I'm saying?
No,
not even.
Not even by default right now.
I accept the win.
So last time we had you in, Brandon, we had you in right before the Thiago Silva fight. So we haven't talked to you since. Let's talk about let's talk about this a little bit. Now, this is very irritating. Brandon was in a fight. The fight was a joke because he fought Thiago Silva, who got popped for steroids. Jeez. And so when you're in that fight, it was one of those fights where he got on top of you and you literally couldn't do much. Did you feel like something's wrong right now? Because you're a world-class wrestler too. I mean, when Brandon doesn't show a lot of his ground game, but his ground game's top-notch too. So you literally couldn't get this gorilla off of you, and now we know why. But when you're in the fight, what were you thinking?
I look back at the fight more and more, and by the third round, I think I was mentally broken. Third round, I just remember thinking the whole time, like, what the heck? Like, why can't I get this dude off me, man? Like, what is going on? It really felt like a Big Brother mode where, when you were a little kid and your big brother held you by your neck against the couch.
And then he goes, quit hitting yourself.
Yeah,
quit hitting yourself.
That's what I felt like, man. That's exactly what I felt like. I could not figure it out. I trained with so many good guys, and nobody's ever just manheld me.
Right.
They held me in one spot like a little child. So I was broken. I didn't know what to tell.
Because you didn't have any answers.
I didn't have any answers. I just kept telling my coaches and them, said, man, that dude was strong as he was strong as I don't know what. And, they drugged me up in the hospital so I can get my nose fixed. And they said I sat up. I was like, man, he was strong. And then so it was just bothering me. And then I got back home to the gym. Everybody's like, Brandon, what happened? Brandon, what happened? Brandon, what happened? And I couldn't say it. I was like, I don't know. He was strong.
Right.
And everybody's like, really? Really? Was he that strong?
And these are guys that you train with, so they know how strong you are.
Exactly. So they're just looking at me. And I did. I mentally broke. As the fight wore on, third round, I broke. I mentally broke third round. I couldn't get up anymore. I couldn't do anything anymore. And then everybody's just like, man, really? And then when the story broke that he used synthetic urine, like powdered urine that you mix with water or something like that. Yeah.
How long after was this?
They knew when they ran the test, but they thought the test was faulty because they couldn't get a good reading or something like that. They weren't finding any human markers, so they were, they had to retest it again.
Well, they weren't testing for gorilla DNA.
Exactly. So when they found out, man, he wasn't even using human urine, I said, all makes sense now. All makes sense now.
Did you have an inkling? Was anybody in your ears saying, hey, this might be a rumor that he's doing this? Or when he's walking into the ring, are you looking at him going, you look a little different?
No, not at all.
He didn't appear?
No.
None of the outward signs of it?
No, when I watched the fight, I watched the fight and I was listening to Joe Rogan say, Thiago looks so much stronger than Vera. And I was looking, after hindsight, I watched the fight on film and he's way bigger than me. But on the stand, on the stand-up, it didn't matter. I was putting it on him. But as soon as we hit the deck, and then I knew I was losing the fight on the ground. And every time coach would say, Brandon, you have to knock it. The third round, Brandon, you have to knock him out. You lost the first 2 rounds. I remember looking at Coach Eric, I was like, no problem. I'll be right back. Don't worry. I'll be right back. As soon as we hit the deck again, I was like, jeez. jeez, man, I can't get this guy off me.
Yeah. So that had to be tough to get past and get through, but you did.
Yeah.
You moved on, and you know, like I said, you won your last fight. Let's talk about those guys you train with, because those boys at Alliance has now become a premier gym in MMA. Did you ever think that would be a thing?
Never. I never. You know, I wanted a good gym with no politics and
Right.
no drama. Anybody can come train, no matter where you're from. So the name Alliance works. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And then it just grew and grew. Coach Eric Del Fiero came in, stepped in, and started. I don't know, man. More and more people started coming. More and more people get invited out. People hear about us. People pay to come train. Like, people fly from the UK, from Ireland, from Russia, from Germany
Whoa.
to come train with us here at the gym. Like, they're paying like a board fee and another fee just to come train with a pro team. If they're good enough, then they stop paying. You know, if they're a good training partner, they stop paying. And then some people just want to come from out of town and come train at Alliance for 2 weeks. So they're staying at hotels all around the area. It's amazing, man. I never thought it would be like this.
Well,
It was all the dream.
You guys have a world champion. Dominic Cruz is the bantamweight champion of the world. You got
Best
great
footwork in the world.
No question. You guys got great heavyweights in Joey Beltran, Travis Brown. You got great fighters in Ross Pearson. I mean, you name it. Phil Davis.
Alexander Gustafsson. Oh yeah, it's
loaded.
amazing. I never knew it would grow into this just from a dream and from no politics. It's the biggest thing with MMA. It's almost like anything else in the world and workplace. It's, you know, sometimes there's a lot of politics. In our gym, we don't have any politics. If you guys have problems, guess what you're doing today? You're sparring. Yeah, you're sparring today. You guys will figure this out until you're not mad at each other anymore. Put all your gear on.
Well,
All your gear on. Let's go figure it out. One of you guys is right, one of you is wrong.
There
Let's
it
find
is.
out who it is.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
That's
That's the way to settle things,
But
man.
you know, and you know, on top of that, we are the MMA awards are up this year. It's kind of like MMA Emmys, I guess.
Yeah,
or
like
the
the Oscars
Globes,
or
something like
whatever,
that, yeah. And we're up for 7 awards.
Whoa.
Being open our
What?
4th year,
Yeah.
5th year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, up for 7 awards, and yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, if you don't win them all, don't feel bad. Like we say here on the show, it's an honor just to be
Oh,
nominated.
it totally is.
It's an honor just
We
to
never win. So that's why we say that. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we got to talk about something with Brandon that we've actually never talked to him about. It's crazy. It actually was a life or death situation that Brandon was in before. We've never talked to him about it. It is a crazy story, and we'll do that when we get back.